Excuse me. Where is your bathroom?
Next to my bedroom.
You know the theme song, you know all the characters, but you absolutely do not know the real story. There wasn't just one uncensored scene that took Cheers off the air. There was a series of explosive, heartbreaking events that the network tried to sweep under the rug. From a devastating loss to a shocking exit that tore the cast apart, we are counting down the real-life scenes that ensured the show could never last forever. The show that couldn't fail. You see, the story of Cheers is one of incredible success, but it almost never happened. When the show first aired, the ratings were abysmal. Truth be told, it ranked almost last for the entire television season, a fact that would normally spell instant cancellation. In a move that is almost unheard of in television today, the head of NBC at the time, Brandon Tartikoff, saw something special in the show's brilliant writing and unique characters. He decided to protect it, moving it to a better time slot and giving it a chance to find an audience. By its third season, Cheers was a top 10 hit, and it stayed there for the rest of its run. This turnaround is a Hollywood miracle story. The show was built on a simple premise. A former baseball star, Sam Malone, runs a bar full of quirky but lovable regulars. There was Norm, the accountant who had a permanent spot on his favorite bar stool. Cliff, the mailman full of bizarre and often incorrect trivia. And Carla, the feisty waitress with a heart of gold buried under layers of sarcasm. At its core, the show revolved around the electric, will they or won't they romance between Sam, played by Ted Danson, and the intellectual, often snobby waitress Diane Chambers, played by Shelley Long. Their witty banter and undeniable chemistry became the stuff of television legend. What many overlooked is how masterfully the show navigated its world. It was a workplace comedy, a romance, and a hangout show all rolled into one. It managed to feel both timeless and perfectly of its era. This was the 1980s, a time when television was heavily monitored by network censors known as broadcast standards and practices. Every script was combed over to make sure it was appropriate for a wide audience. Yet, Cheers took place in a bar, a setting filled with adult themes, and it managed to tackle mature subjects with intelligence and humor without ever feeling preachy or offensive. It was the perfect blend of smart and silly, a show that felt sophisticated yet incredibly accessible. It was, to put it mildly, an untouchable masterpiece. But behind the illusion of perfection, a real-life tragedy was brewing that would force the cast and crew to film the most difficult scene of their lives: a heartbreak in Boston. For the first 3 seasons of Cheers, the heart and soul of the bar was Ernie Coach Pantuso, played by the veteran actor Nicholas Colasanto. Coach was the show's gentle giant. He was a sweet, slightly dim-witted former baseball coach who now served as a bartender alongside Sam. He was the father figure of the group, offering strange but oddly wise advice. The character was beloved by audiences, and Colasanto's warm, endearing performance earned him an Emmy Award. He was the anchor of the show. But behind the scenes, the actor was fighting a serious battle. Colasanto had been dealing with heart problems for years, a fact he kept relatively private. By the 3rd season of Cheers, his health had taken a sharp decline. He lost a significant amount of weight, and his presence on set became more and more difficult. The cast and crew watched as their friend struggled to get through his scenes. Rhea Perlman, who played Carla, later recalled how difficult it was, saying he was laboring all the time just to breathe. It was a heartbreaking situation for a cast that had become a real-life family. In early 1985, during the filming of the 3rd season, Colasanto was hospitalized. Though he was released, his doctors warned him against returning to the grueling schedule of a weekly sitcom. But his love for the show was so immense that he would still come to the set just to watch his friends work. Then, on February 12, 1985, Nicolas Colasanto passed away from a heart attack at the age of 61. The news was devastating. The cast, crew, and millions of fans were in mourning. The producers were now faced with an impossible scene they never wanted to film. How do you address the passing of a major character on a comedy show? In the 1980s, this was unheard of. The typical solution was to write the character off, saying they moved away or retired. But the creators of Cheers knew they couldn't do that. Coach wouldn't just leave his family at the bar. To honor both the character and the actor, they made a brave and controversial decision. Coach would pass away too. This was the uncensored scene that truly changed Cheers forever. It wasn't a joke or a stunt, it was real, raw grief played out on screen. The Season 4 premiere, Birth, Death, Love, and Rice, delicately handled the news. The episode revealed that Coach had passed away, and the characters were shown dealing with their grief in a way that was both funny and deeply touching. It was a masterclass in television writing and a moment that blurred the lines between fiction and reality. The show had lost its heart, and there was a very real fear that it might not survive. The show survived this profound heartbreak, but another internal conflict was about to tear the bar's most famous couple apart for good. The battle of Sam and Diane. After the show successfully navigated the tragic loss of Nicholas Colasanto by introducing the lovable Woody Boyd, played by Woody Harrelson, it seemed like Cheers was invincible. The ratings were higher than ever, and the new dynamic was working. But the original engine of the show, the fiery, intellectual, and romantic tension between Sam Malone and Diane Chambers, was about to come to a screeching halt. The on-screen relationship was a roller coaster, but behind the scenes, another, more complicated drama was unfolding. Shelley Long, the Emmy-winning actress who played Diane, had become a massive star. Her portrayal of the highly educated, often pretentious waitress who found herself working in a blue-collar bar was brilliant. She was the perfect foil for Ted Danson's Sam Malone. Their chemistry was legendary, but the thing nobody tells you is that this on-screen magic didn't always translate when the cameras stopped rolling. Rumors began to circulate about tension on the set. Some reports claimed that members of the cast found Long difficult to work with. Kelsey Grammer, who played Diane's later love interest Frasier Crane, has been open in interviews about the difficult on-set dynamic during those years. Whether the rumors were true or not, one thing was certain. By the end of the 5th season, Shelley Long wanted out. She had a desire to pursue a movie career and spend more time with her young family. She made the shocking decision to leave the show at the absolute peak of its popularity. For the producers, this was another seismic event, a scene they couldn't control. The entire show had been built around the Sam and Diane relationship. How could Cheers possibly continue without one half of its iconic duo? Many people are crazy about the early years of the show, and for them, this was the moment that took Cheers off the air, at least the version of it they loved. The departure of Diane Chambers was a massive gamble. The producers had to once again reinvent the show. The Season 5 finale, I Do Adieu, saw Sam and Diane break up for the final time, with Diane leaving Boston to pursue her writing career. It was an emotional and beautifully written episode, but it left a giant hole in the series. Fans were devastated, and many believed the show was doomed. The network and creators, however, decided to push forward. They introduced a new female lead, Rebecca Howe, played by Kirstie Alley. Rebecca was a completely different character. She was a neurotic, ambitious corporate climber who took over managing the bar. The dynamic shifted from romantic comedy to a more traditional workplace sitcom. Amazingly, it worked. The show remained a ratings powerhouse for another 6 seasons. But for a huge portion of the fan base, the real Cheers ended the moment Diane walked out that door. Her exit was an uncensored, real-life decision that permanently split the show into 2 distinct eras, the Diane years and the Rebecca years. Cheers survived, losing 2 of its original key players, but the final blow would come from the one person nobody could ever replace: Sam Malone's last pour. Was there one single uncensored scene that took Cheers off the air forever? A banned episode lost to time? A joke so controversial it forced the network to pull the plug on one of the most successful sitcoms in history? For decades, fans have searched for a secret, scandalous reason for the show's abrupt end. The truth is, the final, unfilmable scene that ended the show for good didn't happen in front of the cameras at all. It was a quiet, personal decision made by the one man the show simply could not go on without: Ted Danson. By 1993, after 11 incredible seasons, Ted Danson was more than just a TV actor. He was a cultural icon. As the charismatic, womanizing ex-baseball player Sam Malone, He was the undeniable anchor of the series. He had earned 2 Emmy Awards for the role and was one of the highest-paid stars on television. While other beloved cast members had come and gone, Danson was the constant. He was the sun around which all the other characters, Carla, Norm, Cliff, Frasier, and Woody, orbited. The network, NBC, was desperate to keep their golden goose going. They reportedly offered Danson a staggering amount of money, a figure that would have made him the highest-paid actor in television history, to sign on for a 12th season. But Danson, to the shock of the industry and millions of fans, turned it down flat. But was it that simple? Hollywood is a town that runs on whispers, and the whispers around the end of Cheers were deafening. One of the most persistent theories points the finger at the ghost of a past relationship, Diane Chambers. Shelley Long, who played Diane, had left the show years earlier, but her on-screen chemistry with Danson was legendary. Rumors had always swirled that their intense on-screen dynamic sometimes led to off-screen friction. For the grand finale, Long was set to return. The theory goes that during the rehearsals for the final episodes, old tensions flared. Perhaps Danson, confronted with the character and actress that defined the show's early years, realized he simply couldn't do it anymore. Maybe the ghost of Sam and Diane was too much to bear, and her brief return was the final push he needed to walk away for good. Another wild theory claims the network itself was the villain. Some insiders suggest that NBC, while willing to pay Danson, had radical plans for a 12th season. They wanted to modernize the show, potentially bringing in a new, younger cast to hang out at the bar, sidelining the classic characters we all knew and loved. There was even talk of a major format change, something that would have altered the DNA of the show. According to this theory, Danson wasn't just tired, he was acting as the show's protector. He allegedly refused to participate in a version of Cheers that would tarnish its legacy, choosing to end it on a high note rather than let it be destroyed by network meddling. However, the reality was much simpler and far more human. After more than a decade and 275 episodes of playing the same character, Danson was just tired. He was feeling the immense physical and mental toll of the demanding network television schedule. Creatively, he felt he had explored every possible facet of Sam Malone. In interviews from the time, he expressed a heartfelt desire to spend more time with his family and to stretch his acting muscles by pursuing new roles in film. It was a deeply personal choice. He realized that his heart was no longer fully in it, and he refused to continue if he couldn't give the show, the cast, and the audience his absolute all. When Danson officially announced his decision to the producers, they knew it was over. They briefly, almost desperately, considered continuing the show without him. There was serious talk of Woody Harrelson's character, the lovable but dim-witted Woody Boyd, taking over the bar. But everyone, including Harrelson himself, knew it wouldn't be the same. In a moment of perfect clarity, Woody wisely shut the idea down, reportedly saying, "To be in that bar without Teddy? Nope." The creators understood a fundamental truth. Cheers was Sam's bar. Without Sam Malone behind that counter, polishing a glass and offering a sly smile, it just wouldn't be Cheers. And so, they made the difficult but correct decision to end the show. The uncensored scene that took Cheers off the air forever was simply a conversation. A quiet moment where a star decided it was time to say goodbye. It wasn't a scandal or a feud that ended the show, but rather the graceful, dignified exit of its leading man. The series finale, One for the Road, aired on May 20th, 1993, to one of the largest television audiences in history. It was a perfect, emotional send-off that saw Sam Malone turn off the lights of his beloved bar one last time, a symbolic end that honored the show's incredible 11-year journey. So, was it a single scene, or a series of heartbreaks that truly ended the show? Do you think Ted Danson made the right call to leave? Let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe.